Dating just should not be this damn fucking difficult. It just shouldn't. I don't understand why.
Does anybody else find dating ridiculously hard these days?
My New Year's resolution is to stop dating. I'm done. I've tried for the past 2 years.
Men, 52% of adult women are single.
No surprises there, really. But in due time, that number will only be increasing.
3 reasons why dating is hard in your 30s. Part 5.
Class man. I'm gonna go find a rich man.
Unless you're a size 6 gym baddie. Dating here honestly feels impossible unless you meet that.
They're getting left behind. Men in their 40s are the most single that they've ever been.
That's incorrect. Men in their 40s aren't even worried about trying to date anymore. Kindly subscribe to the channel as it further supports us in our work. Thank you.
Literally can't do this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. But then I'm like, how am I going to get a husband?
The older I get, the harder it's becoming today.
I swear people make dating so much harder than it needs to be because it really is.
So you're single in your 40s and you want to know if there's hope in finding a partner or true love.
Even if I don't want you, I really want you to.
Why is it that every man, 30 and above, mid-30s, whatever, who's out there in the dating world is deceitful?
Did you know that being childless and husbandless is actually one of the most powerful things you can be as a woman?
This might be a hot take, but all of the hot, successful, really driven women are in their single girl era right now. And I think that's because it's almost impossible to find a man who matches your energy, let alone bring something to the table that you don't have. And we are all looking for partners that add something to our lives. And we can't find someone who is better than us. I'm not even trying to sound conceited. There are so many hot, successful ladies right now. We are going off. And the men just can't keep up. So, am I going insane or is this true? Let me know what you think.
The kind of men these so-called hot women are looking for doesn't exist. They claim men can't keep up, aren't doing enough, can't match their energy. But what kind of man are they even looking for? If so many of these women are struggling to find men, it says more about their insane standards than it does about the supposed lack of good men. They aren't just looking for a good man, they're looking for a fantasy, a perfect custom-built dream guy who doesn't actually exist. They want a man who makes 6 figures but still has time to take them on spontaneous vacations. A man who is dominant and confident but will bow to their every demand. These are the same women who say the bare minimum isn't enough, but the irony is, they don't even know what the bare minimum actually is. They scream about how men need to do more, be better, step up. But when you ask them to define the bare minimum, their answers are all over the place.
I know why all the good-looking guys treat girls like shit. Supply and demand. There are way less good-looking guys than there are good-looking girls. The less there is of something, the more in demand it becomes. AKA, the value increases. AKA, guys realize that. AKA, they treat us like shit, the good-looking ones, because they know they can. Ladies, let's stop this. It's time for us to give ugly guys a chance.
Women.
Single men do everything for themselves. But you never hear a man calling himself an independent man. True. It's just being an adult.
Where are all the men that are 45 plus that go to the gym but have a dad bod? I love a dad bod. And they must have grey hair.
In your dreams, ma'am.
Where are they?
You know what's worse? The fact that somebody I thought cared about me could treat me like literal dumpster trash. Or the reality that it means they probably don't and never cared about me at all.
What I noticed lately is that a lot of men rather stay single because they're tired of giving their everything and ending up with nothing. Do you guys agree with that?
Yes. Being single gives you peace of mind. Nope. We go to Asia and get everything for just love and care. After 35 years and 2 cheaters, single is so much more desirable. It's better to stay single, less stress, and more money in your pocket.
Single men, here's why it's easier than ever to find a beautiful, successful girlfriend. 52% of adult women are single. That's nearly double what it was 20 years ago. And get this, relationship research shows that beautiful and successful women are actually having the hardest time finding a partner. So here's what you're gonna do with this information. First of all, stop relying solely on dating apps. Some of these women I'm talking about are on there, but the competition is fierce. If you want to take advantage of this opportunity and meet an amazing girl, you need to get ahead of the curve.
No! Well, there's a reason why 52% of women are single, and an even bigger reason why that number has doubled over the years. It didn't just happen by accident, it doubled in entitlement. It doubled in unrealistic expectations, and it doubled in a refusal to self-reflect. These women aren't struggling because there are no good men. They're struggling because they've convinced themselves they deserve a man who checks every box on a fantasy list they created while ignoring what they bring to the table themselves. If anything, these women did this to themselves. Nobody forced them to ignore the good guys. Nobody made them chase after emotionally unavailable men or prioritize short-term fun over long-term stability. That was a choice, a repeated one. They claim men are intimidated by their success, but men aren't intimidated. They're disinterested in the attitude that often comes with it. They don't want to date a competitor or someone who treats relationships like a business deal.
So I used to work with all men, and people would always be like, oh, you must get hit on all the time if you work with all men. But what I had to explain was that actually in settings where it's like 70% men, 30% women, the women get hit on all the time. But in this case, I was literally the only woman on a 20-person team. And in those cases, the men just act like there are no women there and they ignore you. At least that's what I told myself.
Let's talk about double standards. I came across this ridiculous post that talked about how women who sleep around lose their value, which I 100% agree with. The second part of the post talked about how men can get a woman, a 25-year-old woman when they're 60. What? Like, where do you get this information? If you sleep around, like, for a man with high mileage, no woman wants that either, unless you bring something to the table, like career, money. No 25-year-old wants a 60-year-old man. Come on.
Well, there are always exceptions. And yes, women who sleep around lose their value, and men don't. And it's not really a double standard at all. It's just how biology and society work. If a 60-year-old man has worked on himself, built wealth and maintained his status, he can attract a 25-year-old woman. But in most cases, she's there for the money, and he's there for the pleasure. This isn't unfair. It's simply how the value exchange operates between men and women. Men are measured by their ability to provide, protect, and build, which takes time. Women, on the other hand, are valued for their youth, beauty, and fertility, which decline with age. That's why an older man with success and resources still has options, while an older woman who has spent years prioritizing independence over relationships often finds herself struggling to secure a long-term partner. Women may call it unfair, but the reality is that men don't create these rules. Biology does.
Oh, you'll find another one. You're a catch. Yeah, well, I must be like an endangered species or something because I keep getting caught and then thrown back right in the ocean.
Dating when you're 30 is fun because you get to go to dinner, you get all dressed up, you sit across a table from somebody, you look them deep in the eyes and you say, so, tell me. What's wrong with you?
You ever notice what some women will say what a real man is? It's always like a real man won't mind if I have 10 kids from 10 different baby daddies. He's gonna love all them kids and take care of all them kids. Or a real man doesn't mind if I slept with 500 guys between the ages of 19 and 20. He's gonna love me anyway. He won't care if I have horrible spending habits. He's gonna fit the bill. Like, it's never positive. It's never about a real man will have some kind of self-worth. Like, a real man will never tolerate respect. A real man will walk away away from me if I'm ever disrespectful to him. It's never anything like that. It's always a real man's going to put up with someone else's BS. You guys ever notice that? Because I noticed that. What do you think?
I agree. Whenever a woman starts a sentence with, "a real man would," you already know she's about to push a self-serving narrative. That phrase isn't about real masculinity or leadership. It's a manipulation tactic. It's used to guilt, shame, and control men into doing things that benefit her, regardless of how unreasonable or unfair the situation is. A real man would take care of me and my 6 kids. No, ma'am. A real man would avoid walking straight into chaos. A real man would have the wisdom to protect his time, energy, and resources from being drained by someone who's offering baggage. When a man sets boundaries or refuses to play the savior role, suddenly he's not real. Why? Because he's not allowing himself to be used. They've weaponized the concept of masculinity to shame men into submission. And the worst part? Some men fall for it. They bend over backward trying to prove they're real men, only to get used, disrespected, and thrown to the side once they're no longer useful.
You know what's gotten bad when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so lonely in 2025. Like all my friends have a boyfriend and I want a boyfriend. But then you never leave your house and you're like, oh, but they'll magically just poof exist up here in my living room one night. Like that doesn't happen. But at the same time, you're so delulu that you're like writing songs about your future boyfriend that doesn't exist. Cause you're like, oh my gosh, one day like you're going to meet me and we're going to get along and you're going to love all my friends. And like, we're going to sing songs together that I wrote about heartbreak because now I don't have to write those songs anymore because now I have you. But they're not real. Anyways, I hope this lands with the right audience.
Why am I 35 and still single? I feel like this is an epidemic in the world. You have so many awesome women that are just out here looking for a good partner, I cannot stand dating websites. I just feel like society has just taken a turn. Social media, although it's a blessing in a lot of ways, I feel like it's a curse because everybody is so accessible and nobody's willing to commit to one person or work on anything or kind of like fight through anything because, well, I'll just move on to the next one. Here's a woman who doesn't have her standards as high or, will turn a blind eye to certain things. And it's just not fair. It's not fair.
A lot of women ask this question: why am I 35 and still single? And the truth is, in many cases, the fault lies with themselves, whether they want to admit it or not. This woman claims there's a lot of awesome women out here looking for a good partner. But that's not entirely accurate. There are plenty of good men out there, hardworking, loyal, respectful men who would love to build something real. The problem is, these women often overlook them. So the real question becomes, where exactly are they looking? Because it sure isn't in the direction of those solid, dependable guys. They say they want someone genuine, but they scroll past the guy who's respectful in their DMs. They say they want loyalty, but they give all their attention to men who clearly aren't looking for commitment. The reality is, it's not that the good men don't exist. It's that the women claiming to look for them often aren't truly ready for what those men bring.
You know when it's like, oh, he's using me for my body. But then it's like, wait, he's using me for my body.
You need help. I swear people make dating so much harder than it needs to be because it really is fucking simple. It's fucking simple. The question is, do you or do you not want to use each other as an excuse to get out of going to social gatherings that you no longer want to attend?
What we're not going to do is cry over a medium ugly man who fumbled you when your face card would have rebranded his entire bloodline, okay?
So I just watched a video where a girl was saying that, oh, the good guys, they're just so boring. Like, I want a good guy, but they're always so boring. Honey, if you are thinking that good guys are boring, then you best prepare for a ton of bad guys coming your way because you ain't ready for a good guy. Good guys are not boring. It is not boring to feel secure in your relationship and have your partner text you back and not play games with you. It's not boring to have someone who wants to take care of you, that loves you for who you are and accepts you for who you are, so that you have the freedom to express yourself in life. It's not boring to be in a place where you're genuinely happy, that you can move forward in your life, so you stop obsessing over relationships and obsessing over whether someone loves you or not. Because the person that's the good guy that you're with, that guy never makes you feel like you're not loved. That guy makes you feel like you're loved all the time, and you do not have to question whether you are loved or not. Good guys, we need to stop perceiving them as boring. They are not boring. They are freaking holy. I love my good guy. Thank baby Jesus for my good guy.
The only types of women who find good men boring are toxic women. Have you ever noticed that these same women constantly ask for good men, but when given the opportunity, they won't date them? They walk past good men every single day, ignore their messages, and friend zone them while chasing after the same toxic men who treat them badly. This happens because these women are simply drawn to toxicity. It excites them. Chaos to them is what food is to the starving. They crave it, they need it, and they can't function without it. It fuels them, gives them a sense of excitement, and makes them feel alive. They don't know how to exist in a stable, peaceful relationship because peace feels unnatural to them. A man who treats them well, communicates honestly, and provides consistency? That's too easy. They need the drama, the mind games, the uncertainty, because without it, they get bored. Good men aren't boring. These women are just addicted to dysfunction.
My New Year's resolution is to stop dating. I'm done. I've tried for the past 2 years to date and connect with other people, and it has been a battlefield out here, okay? Like, whether I'm hurting someone, someone's hurting me, it hasn't led to good feeling. Of course, like everybody else, I want to be connected and I want to fall in love, but that's not happening for me, and I'm tired. Like, even though I want those things, I would be okay being alone for the rest of my life. I know that sounds crazy, but I would. Like, I think I'm just gonna fold into that era because there's too much emotion that comes along with these relationships, and I'm not built for it, guys.
I don't chase men. I will not chase you, but I will, however, sit around and like daydream and like conjure up little situations and conversations in my head where I wish that we would have, and then like look at your Instagram story 100 times and be like, who's that? Who's that in the background? But I won't chase. Not gonna.
I was just at the thrift store and this guy kept following me around.
Okay, so far not so good.
I was like, what do you want? Like, you're being weird. And then he asked me out on a date and I was like, what would make you think that I would say yes? You're so ugly. And then it made me realize, like, every time I leave the house, it's always ugly, old, creepy men that follow me around stores. And I'm like, why would you think that we're in the same league? And it really messes with my head. Like, it really messes with my confidence because I'm like, maybe I am ugly. And, like, if I don't have my, like, beauty, then what do I have?
A personality? There is more to a person than just the way that they look. And might I add that looks don't stay around forever. And not everyone was gifted with good looks. So, yeah, just no.
Once again, the saying rings true. Average women do not think they're average. We're living in a time where many women have been gassed up so much by social media, constant validation, and endless attention that they've lost all sense of realism. They believe they're 10s, even if their attitude, lifestyle, and mindset don't match up. This woman is literally crying because a man who politely approached her was, according to her, unattractive, not disrespectful, just simply not good-looking enough for her standards. And that's the problem. We've reached a point where basic human interaction, especially from a man who's not deemed high value by looks alone, is seen as offensive, as if only men with 6-packs, 6 figures, and 6 feet of height are allowed to say hello. These types of women don't get far in relationships because for them, it's all about looks. That's why so many of these women go through relationship after relationship, situation after situation, with the same outcome.
The biggest issue for dating in your 30s is that my mind, for the first time ever, knows what I'm looking for in a partner, in a relationship, okay? Like, I know what a red flag is. For the first time ever, my brain has standards. It's crazy. My body, on the other hand, has reached her sexual peak. She's raring to go at all times. She can't be satiated, okay? She has no standards, all right? She's open to anyone, anytime, anywhere. Oh, what's that? A mannequin? Does he have 10 fingers? We'll make it work. Okay?
You need help.
It feels like more than ever that the dating culture has become really all about hooking up. And there's a lot of deception, a lot of lies. And I just got back off apps. I just couldn't take it. Couldn't take all the manipulation, exploitation. And I've been trying to think of a way to describe it to those who it doesn't happen to, maybe to those who are doing it, are guilty of doing it, so they could understand what it feels like.
I'm all about preaching about being independent, independent in your 30s, not to be ashamed of it. It's great to be independent. I'm glad I'm able to do everything myself. I could do whatever I want, whenever I want. All of that is great, right? But I was getting my nails done today. Every single seat that was filled. And I'm not kidding you. Everyone was probably younger than me, definitely younger than me. And they all had a huge ass engagement ring and or wedding band on their finger. And I was just like, maybe there is something wrong with me, because I was literally the only one that did not have a huge ass ring. Damn. There are some moments where it just gets me, and that was one of them.
Seems like she still can't see the issue. The reason why those other girls got a ring, madam, was because they weren't preaching about being independent, a boss babe, or doing whatever they wanted with no regard for what men actually want in a wife. Those women prioritized being feminine, cooperative, and relationship-oriented, not chasing careers while expecting men to line up to marry them anyway. She says, sometimes it gets to you. Of course it does, because deep down, she knows the truth. She's watching other women walk down the aisle while she stays single, wondering why her independence isn't attracting commitment. The reality is, men don't value the same things women do. A woman's degree, career, or financial independence won't make a man more attracted to her. It just makes her more independent from him.
Okay, so I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but every time I go on a date and I'm driving there, I just get so okay, I have really bad anxiety, but I just get so fucking existential, and I get so I'm what am I doing? Literally, what am I doing? You are a 24-year-old girl. That's enough!
The thing about dating a man in his 30s, 40s, or 50s is that he is not dating to lock down the hottest, most independent woman that doesn't need no man. He's dating to find his match in maturity, morals, and growth. So if you're not being authentic and leaving space for him, he will just leave.
Happy Old Maid's Day to every childless, not married lady out there. Happy non-childbearing hip day to us heavenly free hags that know that our worth isn't dependent upon procreation or the institution of marriage, no matter what social or cultural norms or the patriarchy may dictate. But we've done it. We've got ourselves our day. Hooray! Despite never being chosen so far by somebody. There's always tomorrow, but today is our day. The word spinster is wild.
Yeah, right. Every single woman who has to come on camera to tell others about how happy they are living child-free, claiming their worth isn't in procreation, is simply coping. If they were truly content, they wouldn't feel the need to broadcast it, trying to convince others, and more importantly, themselves, that they aren't missing out. Happiness is lived, not performed for an audience. They say their worth isn't in procreation, but nature disagrees. Biologically, a woman's body is designed to nurture and give life, whether she likes it or not. That's why, as time passes, many of these same women start speaking about loneliness, about how holidays feel empty, about how they wish they had someone to share life with in a meaningful way. The reality is, deep down, many of them feel the emptiness creeping in. They see other women experiencing the deep love and purpose that comes with raising a family, while they cling to fleeting pleasures, brunches, vacations, and momentary independence.
Dating apps create a terrible dynamic for men, where a small number of men get all of the invitations, and that means they can become jerks. They can be rude, they can date multiple women, and then the women feel men are jerks. But you've got most of the men are getting no bites, they're getting no dates, and they feel women are jerks. All they want is, X, Y, and Z. So I think the dating apps are one of the reasons driving the sexes apart. Again, this is just for heterosexual dating. Just driving the sexes apart, making it more difficult to date, to court, to fall in love, to marry, to have children. So I think we're going to look back on this and say the dating apps had all these unintended consequences that are really messing up the romantic lives of Gen Z.
Okay, but genuine question. Is there something in the air in Australia? Because why are the men not menning? Like, how do I explain this? The roles are reversed here lately. I travel a lot, whether it's interstate or overseas. There's a dramatic difference of how men talk and carry themselves in different countries and Australia. I don't care if you're from Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Queensland, wherever the hell you're from. Men in Australia want to be chased. Men in Australia are the ones that play hard to get. They don't choose the restaurants to go to. They take longer to get ready than the females. They don't spoil women. Random people in America, for example, have given me roses on the street. Like, oh, you're so beautiful, shawty. Here's a rose. I'm like, oh my God. Like, high value women that work, look after themselves and spoil themselves don't ask for much when it comes to a high value man. We just want constant time, affection, love. It's not that hard to send a text message saying, be ready by 6, I booked a restaurant, I want to see you, can't wait. There has to be something in the air because they're sounding a bit feminine here these days. Like, where are the men?
This woman is asking, where are the men? Because random men aren't giving her flowers, chasing her, or showering her with attention. Basically, she isn't getting the same validation and pedestal treatment she's used to in America, and now she's confused. The reason? Australian men expect to be treated fairly. They're not going to simp for a woman just because she exists. There's nothing inherently wrong with what she's saying, but expecting men to automatically pursue, spoil, and validate her without her putting in any effort is entitlement, not romantic disappointment. What she's really upset about is that she has to compete now. She has to actually bring value beyond just being there. She's realizing that in some places, men aren't desperate, and they're not falling all over themselves just to boost a woman's ego for free. This is the hard truth many modern women are waking up to. Men don't owe them attention.
I'm 30 and very single, right? And recently I was having a bit of a whinge to my psychiatrist about it, and they go, you need to go for the person who thinks that they don't have a chance with you. And I stopped and I said, respectfully, they probably don't have a chance with me. Stop! And that sounds boring. Absolutely boring. Who wants consistency, all right? Who wants that? And my psychiatrist said, you actually want and need that. And I said, boring. Thanks for that advice. Here's $250. I'm just going to repeat my same patterns and behaviours.
Does anybody else find dating ridiculously hard these days? I can't work out whether this is a generational thing or whether this is across the board for absolutely everybody now and that times have changed. So I'm classed as Gen X. I'm in my 40s. I generally love life, have a great time. I get out loads. I'm confident. All the things that they kind of say, attract that, those partners. But actually, I'm not doing that. I seem to just be always attracting people that are talking to lots, quite flaky, only wanting something casual, don't seem to be invested in long term. It's just not working out. But I don't think it's just me. I've got a lot of friends that are my age who are going through exactly the same. And these are beautiful, wonderful, inspirational women. I've also got friends, male friends that are equally fantastic all around the country, single, having the same issues. So, but we're all of a similar age. So is this a generational thing? Is this us? as an age bracket, or is this everyone? Is everybody finding it hard? And why do you think it is, if you are?
Not really sorry to break it to you, madam, but this is just what happens when women are dating over the age of 40. It's not hate, it's not bitterness, it's just the reality. The dating market changes with time, and unfortunately a lot of women didn't plan for that. She mentioned her friends are going through the same struggles. Of course they are, because they all followed the same script, put off commitment, chased excitement, prioritized independence, and assumed the right man would be waiting whenever they were finally ready. At least that's what most of these women do when they're young, only to regret it later, of course. By the way, it's not just her. It's the new normal for many women who are now facing the consequences of choices made years ago. And unfortunately, no amount of crying or complaining will undo the years they spent overlooking the men who would have given them everything back when it mattered.
I was talking to this guy that I have a crush on, and I pointed out, like, all of his exes kind of have, like, a similar look. Like, they all have brown hair, brown eyes, like, kind of similar to me, like, very average looks, very plain Jane. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll take a plain Jane, like, every time. Yeah, that's true. And I'm like, oh, why? And he responds without a hint of irony and immediately, because they've already been humbled. He carries on. Pretty girls feel like they deserve stuff just because they're pretty, but plain Jane girls, they don't act like that. And chat, now I don't care what you have to say. No one's ever going to convince me that romance is dead after that.
So I've been reading a book called Men Don't Love Like Women, and oh my god, let me sum up a few things I learned. So if you go on a date and you lead with your ambition, with your achievements, with your career success, I'm an independent woman, or I'm a domestic goddess, or look at my beauty, then you're setting yourself up for failure, because there are plenty of successful independent women. Most women are successful, they're independent, they're on their grind, they're ambitious. And even if you aren't a multimillionaire or a business owner or entrepreneur, whatever you're doing, it won't stop men from going for you. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be working part-time in a cafe whilst trying to be an actress, you know? A man would still be okay with that. The reason why that is because men are rated on their success, on their achievements. Women aren't rated on the same thing. Now, domestic goddess. If that was the case, as you know, your mom and your grandma like to tell you, it's like my mom and my grandma, oh my god, he's gonna want to marry you if you don't know how to cook and make this and do that. It's because that's what they were taught. But it's not the case at all, because then every woman who can cook and clean would get a man. Besides, it is not about what you can do for a man, it's what a man can do for you. Think about it, the men that are obsessed with a woman, the one, you know, they worship the ground she walks on. You think they want to see her in the kitchen slaving away or cleaning? No, they want her to be just living it up in her goddess energy, like a queen, being treated like absolute royalty every single day. So you were lied to. Third, looks. If the only thing that you feel like you have to offer are your looks, then you will be sorely disappointed. Because I don't know if you've looked around lately, but there are many, endlessly billions of attractive women. There will be some that are less attractive than you. That's what he said in the book. The same level of attractiveness and infinitely more attractive than you. So you just can't win by just being pretty. What makes you stand out is authenticity. It's a great personality. It's other things that you have to offer.
Of course, men don't love like women. They love harder. That's why when a man truly loves a woman, it runs deep. It's not just emotional, it's sacrificial. A man will go out of his way to protect, provide, and build for the woman he loves. He'll grind longer hours, take on more stress, carry the weight of responsibility. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. That's his way of showing love, through action, consistency, and loyalty. And that's also why when a man gets betrayed, it hits him 10 times harder. Because when he commits, He doesn't do it halfway. He doesn't hedge his bets or keep backups on standby. And I do agree on this a bit. A lot of these women genuinely believe that being pretty is enough. They say it with confidence. I'm the table. I'm the prize. I'm pretty. I deserve the best. That's why so many of these women don't have a man by their side. Not because there's something wrong with men, but because a man who has built himself isn't going to settle for someone who brings nothing but looks and drama.
I have no problem showing interest in a man, but I'm not going to chase you. Once I feel like I'm doing too much on my end, I'm going to fall back. And it's not me being petty or childish or trying to play games, but it's not a good feeling when you feel like you're always in constant pursuit of that person. You're always the person calling. You're always the person reaching out. You plan all the dates. You're constantly vocalizing you want to see them, etc. Like, the chase needs to be mutual. It shouldn't be one-sided. And I know we're in this era or culture where, like, men want to be chased and they feel like they're the prize, blah, blah, blah. But, like, that's never been me. I've never been that girl. Once I get a feel that you want me to chase you, I'm not going to do it. And I don't know if there's other girls out here chasing men and now they think that, like, that's the requirement or every girl is going to do that. But baby, I'm not chasing no man. I'm actually not chasing anything. I'm not chasing no man, no job, no money. If it's supposed to be for me, it's going to be for me. I don't have to chase it. I don't have to beg. I don't have to do any of that for me to have it.
Women can literally do anything, but we just let a man do it for us.
You can do anything?
Yes, we can. We can protect, provide. We're independent. We just let a man do it for us.
So who built all the buildings you're looking at right now?
I don't know. Can you name some men architect for me?
No, but what gender built it, do you think?
I don't fucking know.
How about all the plumbing lines in the entire city?
Can you name the men who built the plumbing for me? Can you name the men?
No, but it was men.
Can you name the men, though?
I can't name their names, but it was a group of men. The top G's? I don't know.
Okay, I'm over this conversation.
No. How about your phone? Who invented your phone? Steve Jobs.
Behind every man is a woman. Behind every man is a woman. That's all I'm saying.
But what's that woman providing to that man?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Without us, men have no fucking food, no cleanliness, no anything.
Men hunt for food.
Men provide nothing. That's all
Men
I'm
pay
saying.
for the food.
Delete this video.
What? What?
Because you're not putting this on the internet. But men ain't shit. That's all I'm saying.
Men are shit. You don't like men?
I don't. I hate men. Toodles. Bye.
Oh, God. That's not good.
Any woman who says men don't provide anything is straight up lying. All she has to do is look around her. The roads she drives on, built by men. The buildings she works in, designed and constructed by men. The power, water, infrastructure, security. Men built and maintain the very world she lives in. And yet here she is, trying to tear men down with a straight face, pretending like men don't contribute anything of value. It's not just ignorant, it's disrespectful and delusional. These types of women aren't speaking from a place of logic. They're speaking from bitterness and hate, just like she openly admitted. They hate men, but won't stop expecting things from men. They want protection, provision, leadership, emotional support, but they give nothing back but attitude, entitlement, and blame. It's not that men don't provide, it's that these women are so consumed with resentment that they can't even acknowledge the truth in front of them. They've built an identity around male hate and victimhood, and any recognition of a man's value threatens that narrative.